you have any information on Devolve and how he is after he took that hit?
Not really, just obviously just off the practice field, and it happened right at the end. But I know the trainers have him, and just from where I was standing, like maybe just a little bit of an awkward fall, so it's hard to tell. Got kind of tight over there. I'm sure they'll evaluate him and they'll tell us what we need to know.
What's your assessment of Njoku's camp so far?
I think the biggest thing coming into the camp in the first place was trying to find some consistency with David in really every aspect of his game. And I think probably he's had days where it was better. He's had days where it's kind of the ebb and flow that kind of he's maybe experienced some in the past. I do think, and he and I had a discussion this morning, I think he's ascending in terms of what he's doing. I think it's a big thing, and especially start with the passing game for him. Just like you look around the league and a lot of the tight ends that are really having great success, or the things that really start to show up is when guys play with a quarterback, because there's so many different little nuances and things that happen in the areas of the field they work. So I think the more that he and Baker work together, the better off that relationship will be. And I think you can see some of that starting to show up. The big thing for him is, and at this stage will always be, becoming a complete player. I think he has shown some signs in the running game. There's nothing we're doing that he can't do. I believe that 100%. And he's got to want to do it. I got to be able to get him there, and we're working together to try to get it done. But I do think he's got the ability to ascend, but he's got to cut the dips out.
Coach, how comfortable are you against the elite edge rushers? I mean, you're not going to see Miles and Olivier that talented every single week out. But how comfortable are you leaving him in to say pass block, extra protection, one-on-one with a TJ Watt or somebody of that nature? Are you guys comfortable doing that with him? Or do you prefer to schematically find a way to get him out in pass routes?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head at the beginning of it, okay? And we've had that big discussion in our room. The best thing we got going for us right now is who we go against every day in practice, because, and it's not just those first two, it's the next group. It's a very, very deep group of defensive ends. So you're right, it's not going to get any harder on Sunday than it gets during the week. And that's really what training camp is for. We're figuring that out right now, okay, is what can we do. But the challenge is out there for David, for Demetrius, Seth, Farrell, every one of those guys, to be able to be that guy that we can trust when we do have to protect and all that. Now, I'm going to say this, in this league, if you want to make a living playing with your tight end one-on-one against that caliber guy, it's probably not going to happen down after down, but when you get called on to do it, if it's once a week, if it's twice, if it's once a month, it's got to happen or bad things happen behind you. So I think the biggest thing we got going for us is the guys we work against. And you know what? You're going to take it every once in a while against those guys. That's reality. But you're going to see how much you're willing to fight back. And again, it's probably current day lingo that I'm probably too old to be using, but you got to show you want the smoke at the end of the day.
He had one on Garrett there. He missed a block on Garrett on that 11 period.
He had one where in a protection, he was basically one-on-one. Now, he was going to have some help, but it was going to be late. And probably didn't do a good enough job of using the leverage to his help. And that's another thing that, again, just some of the things that maybe he hasn't done as much in the past I can't speak to, but it's understanding if you're put in that position how to set to use your help. So, yeah, and that's going to happen again every once in a while, but you better give enough effort. And I will say this about the whole group. If we had an overall effort problem or a knowledge problem, I'd be worried, Coach. I'm not sure we can fix it in the short term. What we've got is a fundamental problem. If we'll fight and we know what to do, we're going to be fine.
With the talent that you guys have at receiver, would you expect that you guys maybe would keep the tight ends in the block more often if you have receivers you have confidence in who can get open downfield without sending another guy out in the route? Or with the guys in your room, do you want them out in the routes a lot of the time?
I mean, that's obviously it's kind of a week-to-week, day-to-day game plan type thing. But I'd say this, if we feel like we're getting into some situations where we have to keep more guys in, then maybe it's because they're bringing enough guys where they're bold enough to say we're going to play one-on-one on some of these, guys that are on the edges. And that's probably good for us if that's happening. The good thing about that room, they're unselfish. I think everybody at the tight end position, you get the glory for catching a lot of balls and those kind of things. But at the end of the day, we want to win. That's what it's all about. So it could happen that way, but I also think it creates mismatches, so it works both ways. If they want to devote more guys to other players, it creates mismatches inside.
With David's skill set,
do you want him out there in routes a lot though, or if there's a week where that's what you need to do, and he's in blocking a lot, is that still a good use of him, and is that a way for this offense to be effective?
Well, I'm not going to stand there and act like a guru because everybody can see it. The way he's built, what his strengths are, you love him out there running around and making plays on the ball. But I also think because of how he's built, he's long, he's strong, he can bend. He can be a great blocker. He can be a great point of attack blocker if he decides he wants to, and I can get him there. And he can be a good pass protector because he's long. If he gets his hands on you, he locks you out. If he'll move his feet, he's got all that stuff. Again, whatever we got to do to score points. I don't really. If we run it 60 times, we throw it 60 times. At the end of the day, everybody's happy when you win.
I think we end up asking a lot about David because you can see the natural
Sure.
talent, right? That he has that. You said he can be that kind of blocker, right? How close is he in your mind to really being where he's fully there as a blocker, and how much you think, man, we still have to work?
You know what? I could take you upstairs right now. Don't take me up on this, but and I could pull up again a handful of clips even from today. All right, great example. He had the same tight block, backside cutoff 3 times today. All right, and it was kind of a point of emphasis in our work today. 2 of them, pretty dang good. All right, pretty good. The 3rd one, not very good. Went back to fundamentals. So we're training some of those habits. All right, and if you fall off on your fundamentals, it's probably not going to work out the way you want it to. So I guess my point being, it's a work in progress. Every day is another evaluation. We're trying to get there, but I think we're headed in the right direction, but it's up to him and me to do it.
Dorsey's been talking about Njoku since Combine. It almost sounds like he's sort of challenging him. Do you think he's gotten the message?
Y'all know David. I don't know how much, I don't know how much he pays attention to what's outside. I really don't care. I mean, none of us really think a lot about that. You're kind of in the moment and in the day. And again, here's what we're working on today. I think it's very clear to him. We don't spend a lot of our individual time. We do a little bit with the quarterbacks because you got to do that. But the rest of the time, we don't catch a lot of balls. Everybody's motivated to catch balls. They'll be in here catching jugs and all that. But we got to work on the techniques of blocking. So to answer your question, I think we've all embraced that challenge.
Where is Harris as a blocker in comparison to that? Maybe?
Man, he's a big man, obviously. He's got athletic ability. I even say this because of the basketball background, he's not taking as much wear and tear on his body. So, that's the kind of thing. And again, he's another one. He can bend. When he does bend, he's a handful. And when he's a little bit high and he's a little bit slower with his footwork and those kind of things, it's a work in progress. So, again, he obviously came out of a system where when they had to load up and run it 4-minute offense and those kind of things, he was that guy for them. But still, there's some things he can do to evolve and develop. So to answer your question, I'd say we're all work in progress. But again, it's about today. And you're catching me after practice where we probably took it more than we gave it today. So maybe that's where some of my answers come from.
It's just, I think what we're all trying to get around to on this is you see Odell and you see Jarvis and you see the guys on this team. But Njoku's the guy that a lot of people think could be in for a breakout year, or that you see the talent. But then there's also the point of there's only one football to get around, and if you guys want to max protect at times, it's just trying to figure out how David really fits in the whole plan.
I think everything we do, everything's to their advantage in regards to that. Because again, everything we do, there's competition in the room for who's going to be in different sets, personnel groups, plays, whatever. There's also competition, in my opinion, for who's getting those balls. And you're going to see, and that's the great thing about going against Coach Wilkes and those guys, we have seen it all, okay? And we will see it all preseason. They do it all. So you're going to see everything you can see, and then the guys from different positions are competing. Well, who's going to win? Sometimes it's man coverage, and who's going to win earn the trust of the quarterback. That, hey, I know in this coverage we might not have as good a play. I don't have 2 options. I got 1, and that guy better win. So whoever wins is going to get the ball, and that happens during practice, and that's the habits you form in practice, what shows up in the game. We all know that. So everybody's competing for those balls too, and it's even greater competition when every position out there is capable. So I think that's what makes it awesome. It's a great position being as a coach. So I think it's evolving. I mean, and it could be, tight end's always been a position where some weeks that ball finds you 8 or 10 times. Some weeks it finds you 2 or 3. And again, as long as we got more numbers on the scoreboard than the other guy, I'm good with that.
And not to, I don't like to make excuses for a guy or whatever, but for instance, again, we can watch a single rep and try to make a determination, and that's not what it's all about. But if there's a play where, for instance, David's blocking Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett's driving him into the backfield, there's a part of like, okay, we need to be better at this, but there's also something in the back of your head of like, it's Myles Garrett, you know, like sometimes Myles Garrett's
Sure.
going to get you, right?
It's why you practice, though, because again, there are plays we probably run or plays you run with certain guys. You're like, hey, let's see if he can do it. That's why you practice, you know. And then it comes down to a game plan thing, and so again, that'll show itself.
But if there are moments out there where you're leaving David on an island with Myles Garrett on a play, this is a time to see how he handles something like that.
Absolutely, that's what practice is all about. I love it.
And it can't get much more difficult than that.
It's not going to get any more difficult. I can assure you.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of those kind of dudes, and he's one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
As a coach, do you think is your task trying to create that complete tight end, because you know that guys are coming out of college a little more specialized now, and so many guys coming into the NFL are leaning towards receiver that you know you're going to have to teach them to block?
I think that's what makes coaching fun. You know, is trying to help guys make their strengths stronger and trying to improve their weaknesses. And you know, again, and at that position, it's such a special position because you have to do so much. You know, you're expected to be like a wide receiver in the passing game, like a tackle in the run game or the protection, you know, aspect of it. So that's what makes it fun. So that's what you're trying to do now. Obviously, when they turn the scoreboard on, you know now what guys' capabilities are, and you gear your game plan towards that. So that's what we're finding out right now. And again, staying kind of in the moment, in the day, and going from there.